Hey guys, here we go into a film study on pretty boy Josh Kelly. I guess that's going to be his name from now on. And we're going to do a film study on him. We might do 2 rounds, rounds 1 and then skip a couple rounds and do round 4. I've done this video a few times and it's gotten taken down. I just recorded it 5 minutes ago and I forgot to turn my recorder on. Like it was plugged in so the light was on, but I had changed the settings so I could record some stuff without sound. But anyway, we're going to get into it, and I think it's the 4th round where you kind of pick some stuff up and show some cool shit. But what we're going to be looking for is an active guard, right, and not keeping his head on the line, being able to move and feint and slip, how well he sets his punches up, and how well he controls his opponent. You know, basically, at the root of it all, it's how well you control your opponent. Right? And you do that with your head movement, you do that with your feinting, you do that with your probing, you do that with your lead hand dominance, right? And you do that by literally just controlling them, pushing them around. You know, if you throw a right hand and you miss the right hand or they slip it, you put that right hand on their body and you stop them from pivoting and turning and throwing punches at you by controlling them and stopping them from shifting their weight. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it. And the first thing right away that you see from Josh Kelly, look at his hands. Look how low his hands are. What's up with this guy, right? Pretty boy? For real? No, I'm just playing with you guys. I don't have a problem with keeping your hands down, right? As long as you're able to throw the punches that you're looking to set up, right? As long as he can throw that right hand, right? Or he can turn that hook, that hand from his waist into a hook or a jab. As long as he can do that and set those punches up still, I think having your hands down is fine. You can invite your opponent into throwing punches at you. You can so you can counter them, and you can also shift your weight a little easier, right? Because you don't have your hands up near your head. It doesn't take as long. There's not as much weight, you know. But you can kind of do those movements a little quicker or a little sharper, kind of bait your opponent. But right away, his active guard, right? He's kind of moving in, and that's something right away that you don't really want to see, right? Look how he slips. Sorry. Look at how he's going to slip to the inside, right? And what I mean by slipping to the inside is it's to the inside of your opponent, right? So you're moving to the inside, so it's right in line with your opponent's right hand, basically. But if you slip to the outside, your opponent doesn't really have any recourse, really. They have to take an angle to throw a punch at you or kind of control you with their lead hand, right? So he's going to slip to the inside and bring his right hand up, right? And then he goes to slip to the inside again, right? And his opponent shoots a jab at him. Right? And he doesn't slip the jab like he was making it look like he was going to, and then he doesn't catch the jab like he was making it look it was going to. He just eats a punch, right? One of the reasons for that is when you see him move back, he just moves back from the right hand, right? Notice I said, just like I said, he's not catching it and he's not slipping the shot. He's just moving back. He's not transferring his weight, and he winds up staying on the line with his opponent, and his opponent's able to just throw another punch at him. Now, this is not going to be rectified by him, quote-unquote, having his hands up, right? It's just being aware, you know, understanding that you have to have defensive responsibility, that if your opponent throws a right hand at you, the next logical punch is a left hook. So if you slip to the inside to get away from that right hand, you need to move off the line so they don't hit you with that left hook. You know, just having some defensive responsibility. And Josh Kelly needed to pay attention right here and to know that another punch was coming, right? Maybe he thought the right hand was coming and he had his eye on the right hand. That's why he didn't move, and he kind of gets caught with that jab. But that's not really a knock on him. Don't worry about that. You know, that's like the first round jitters or whatever. You know, don't worry about it. And then right here, cutting the ring off. You know, one thing I want to point out right away, Josh Kelly cuts the ring off really well. And I'm going to try and change your idea of what cutting the ring off is, because a lot of people seem to not understand what it really means. But if you look at Josh Kelly and his opponent, if you can draw a line straight through Josh Kelly and straight through his opponent and have that line put his back against the ropes, that means that the ring is cut off, right? If there's nowhere for him to go backwards, right, that means the ring is cut off. It doesn't mean that he can't move laterally, right? Because we'll get to that. We'll get to that, and I'll tell you why. But again, sorry to go so far back, but Josh Kelly goes back to cutting the ring off, right? And now there's nowhere for Hamilcaro to go right here, right? Josh Kelly is beating him to the line, right? And the ring is cut off, right? And he throws that hook, but because of the fact that Josh Kelly goes first, Hamilcaro is able to block the shot and then move off the line, and then make it look like Josh Kelly is an amateur, right? But which is not the case. He did a great job of cutting the ring off. He just didn't do the right thing once he had it cut off on his opponent. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how well he cuts the ring off throughout the course of this entire round before we move on to the other subsequent rounds. But anyway, again, cutting the ring off very well. His opponent has nowhere to go and starts throwing punches at him, right? And the reason that his opponent has to throw punches at him is because Josh Kelly, instead of throwing the first punch, throwing that hook that allowed Hamilcaro to get off the ropes, now Josh Kelly is waiting for his opponent to go first. Unfortunately for Hamilcaro, he only knows one way to control the space between him and his opponent, right? And that's to throw his jab. And that's going to be a big problem for him during the course of this fight. So he throws the jab to control that space and to create some space so that he can get off the ropes. Cutting the ring off again, and now look at that again, right? I didn't point it out, but again, cutting the ring off, right? He beats Hamilcaro to the ropes, right? Shoots the jab to the body, and Hamilcaro's like, okay, I'll go this way now. Now Josh Kelly moves to the other side, cuts the ring off, and Hamilcaro says, oh, I'm just kidding, I'm going to go this way again. Because the ring is cut off, right? There's nowhere for him to go, and changing directions gives him the best opportunity to avoid any offense from his opponent. Now skating around away from the middle part, getting kind of caught in the corner. And look at this. Even though his opponent has a place to go, right? Even though Hamilcaro has a place to go, right? He can still move laterally, left or right. Because he's not even in position to throw punches, because he's trying to minimize how much surface area he's taking up in the ring so he can continue to skate along the ropes. He's not in position to throw any punches. He's not really a danger to Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly's able to continue cutting the ropes off and force the issue, right? And that's what he wants to do from this position, is he wants to force the issue with Hamilcaro, but he wants to do it in an intelligent way. He wants to do it in a way where he's not the one committing to an action first, right? He doesn't want to be the one throwing the first left hook so that Hamilcaro can block it and skate off the ropes, but he wants to make Hamilcaro make the first mistake or commit to the first transfer of motion, or the first transfer of his weight, and putting himself out of position. So now he's just kind of waiting, and Josh Kelly right here, right, this whole time, he's not using his active guard, right? He's giving him like a little bit of head movement, right? But he's waiting for Hamilcaro to make the first move, right? Hamilcaro does a decent job of feinting him right there, but he's waiting for Hamilcaro to make the first move so he can counter it, right? Rather than forcing the issue with a feint or a probe to make Hamilcaro go first. And we'll see how that develops right now. Right? So eventually he gives up and he realizes Hamilcaro is more than happy to just skate around the ropes. So he shoots a jab to the body and then eats a jab because of it. Because when your opponent doesn't set their punches up, it's extremely easy to counter them. And he eats a jab. He does have good defensive responsibility after, right? So he shoots the jab, eats the jab, and then knows more punches are coming, right? Just like we learned in the first 5 seconds of the film study. And he moves his head to get away from those shots, right? Good defensive responsibility. But again, he closes the ring, he cuts the ring off, and then he goes first. And that allows Hamilcaro to easily counter him and get off the ropes. So now he goes back to cutting the ring off. And Hamilcaro's, not in position to punch. He's not in position to counter. He's trying to minimize how much space he takes up so that he's not in punching range of Josh. And he winds up getting into his high guard, and Josh says, okay, I know what to do now from here, and he's able to shoot a jab at him, right? Because he understands that that's a free punch, right? The ring is cut off, and that's the way that Hamilcaro is looking to create space for himself, is by minimizing how much space he takes up, right? And then Josh Kelly throws a hook right after the punch that he just landed, right? But now Hamilcaro is now in position to punch and is able to counter him with the right hand. And again, that's because Josh doesn't set that left hook up, right? He's not setting his punches up right now, and he winds up eating a shot right there, which is not something you want to see, right? What you want to see, right, after he shoots that shot, now he wants to, because he just missed, right? He wants to take that left hand and see how Hamilcaro's hands are up right here, right? Well, let's get a better angle or a better timing of it. So he shoots that left hook, right? Boom. And look at where Hamilcaro's hands are, right? What Josh Kelly, after he misses that shot, he wants to take his forearm and smother Hamilcaro and push his hands up into his face, right? Or after throwing that shot, he wants to transfer his weight to his right leg and then pivot out and turn out because he just missed that shot and now he's out of position, right? The idea is that when you throw the first punch or when you commit to the first action or the first transfer of weight, that you're the one that's out of position now, and you need to either reposition yourself so you have a positional advantage against your opponent, or you need to move off the line. And there's an opportunity to do this at nearly every exchange, right? And this opportunity right now, he can control him and take another angle, or he can just move off the line and allow Hamilcaro to move off the ropes, right? Give up the positional advantage that he thinks he has by cutting the ring off and trapping him in the corner. But he doesn't. He just looks to stay on the line with him and throw punches and winds up eating a right hand because of it. And this is why I don't think you ever want to throw real combinations at your opponent. You know, I think you always want to feint probe, right? Or like throw a 1-2 probe, boom, boom, and then set up one good shot, boom, and then move off the line and reset and kind of pick your shots really well. Work hard and understand that working hard to set your punches up is going to pay off because you're going to be able to get your opponent out of position. Now, in this instance, right, Hamilcaro is the one that's having it pay off, right? He does eat this jab, but because of that movement that he's exhibiting, he's able to get Josh Kelly to commit to that shot so he can counter him with the right hand, right? Now, so far, Josh Kelly's showing that he doesn't have the greatest defense, right? He's definitely been hit with the worst punches of the fight so far, but we're only 45 seconds into the round. But anyway, Josh Kelly instinctively, you know, he stayed on the line to throw that right hand, and what does he do? He looks to throw more punches while staying on the line with this guy. Now, to be honest, that definitely favors Josh Kelly. He's got the better amateur pedigree, he's going to be sharper, he's going to be faster, he's going to hit harder. So it still advantages him, right? But it's not what you want to be seeing from a good fighter. You don't want to see a fighter be taking these risks because you never know exactly how you're going to get hit or, you know, how much better on the button you're going to get caught with, right? Think about Victor Ortiz versus, what's that boy's name from Brooklyn, that Brooklyn guy? Luis Collazo, right? Luis Collazo just, you know, they stayed on the line, they threw punches, and Luis Collazo was the one that landed his punch. Even though Victor Ortiz is sharper and faster and hits harder than Luis Collazo was able to knock him out, right? That was supposed to be a pick'em fight or a cherry pick fight for Victor Ortiz, and he got starched, man. And what sucks about that fight, I hated that fight because I love both of those guys, man. Anyway, moving on. You don't want to stay on the line with your opponent when you don't have to. You want to take positional advantages, just like what Hamilcaro is doing right now, right? So he lands that right hand, boom, makes Josh Kelly miss his right hand by using some head movement. Josh Kelly looks to set up some punches, throw a 1-2 at him, and what does he do? He tries to counter that 2 with his own right hand, and he takes an angle and moves off the line rather than punching with Josh Kelly because he knows that that's not going to favor him. He knows that it doesn't do any good. Right? It's not the best strategy for him to win the fight is to trade punches with someone who's faster and stronger and hits harder than him. But anyway, Josh Kelly immediately goes back to controlling the ring, basically, cutting the ring off on his opponent and giving him nowhere to really go, right? Beautiful ring generalship from Josh Kelly. And here he gets his opponent to go first, right? By pressuring him, just coming forward, right? And he gets his opponent to commit to the first shot. He slips the jab, throws the uppercut, boom. But he doesn't move off the line. He doesn't control Hamilcaro after, right? And even though his left hook gets blocked, right? His left hook gets blocked because he doesn't move off the line and Hamilcaro is still looking to trade punches or throw punches with him, he gets hit with another right hand. You know, again, his defense, he needs to work on it, you know? And part of the problem with this, it's early in his career, and his manager told him, go out there and throw, I don't want to see you throw anything less than a 10-punch combination. You need to become a star tonight. You know, and now while that's not verbatim what his coach or his manager told him, his coach definitely not telling that, but his manager, right? It's going to be something along those lines. You know, people have been feeding that shit into his ear that he's going to be a star. He went to the Olympic Games. You know, I don't know if he won any medals. I apologize. But he's going to be a star. You know, people calling him Pretty Boy Josh Kelly, right? I've gotten so many requests to do videos on this guy. He's going to be a star. So these fights are tough to say how good is Josh Kelly because he's got that Guillermo Rigondeaux factor, right? Where everyone was telling Guillermo Rigondeaux to go out there and knock people out, go punch, go do something that you don't do, right? Maybe Josh Kelly does do this. Maybe because he's getting all this extra acclaim, he's doing it more so than he usually would, right? But anyway, moving on. We'll try to get through this round real quick and then jump to the fourth round. Josh Kelly going back to the active guard, right? His hands are down, but again, it doesn't matter. Slipping to the inside, slipping to the outside, pulling back, rolling. Not following him around, right? But he has the ring cut off. He hasn't figured out what he needs to do to provoke an attack from his opponent so that he can counter it, right? So now he goes to the head movement, slipping to the inside, slipping to the outside, slipping to the inside, and then when he slips to the inside, his opponent says, yes, this is exactly what I want to happen, right? He thinks that he's got Josh Kelly out of position, right? He thinks he has Josh Kelly out of position right here, that he's slipping to the inside, and as soon as that jab comes, Josh Kelly's able to duck it, right? And further slip the shot, and then boom, come up with his own punch, right? Because the ring is cut off on him, right? Hamilcaro has nowhere to go, right? He can only go one of two places, right? So the idea here is just that Josh Kelly needs to find something to do to get Hamilcaro to commit to an action. And he gets him to commit to a punch, and he's able to easily slip it and make him pay for it. Boom. And then Hamilcaro throws some combination, and Josh Kelly does a good job of moving off the line rather than continuing to engage and get hit with other counters, right? So really good job and great adjustment from Josh Kelly so far, showing that he's able to think and learn in there, right? In spite of the fact that he takes risks early and doesn't defend himself well all the time. Now this I want to talk about. This is what people think cutting the ring off against your opponent is, and this is the silliest, most garbage bullshit I've ever seen, right? Like this is, or heard, right, about cutting the ring off. So his opponent is circling to his right, and Josh Kelly wants to cut the ring off, so he takes a step over here, right? And he's looking to cut him off and beat him to the line, right? But what happens? He just circles back out, right? Just watch that again. He's circling, and Josh Kelly looks to take an angle on him, beat him to the line, and that allows his opponent to just escape, right? Because that's not cutting the ring off, right? Josh Kelly was the first one to transfer his weight. He was the first one to take a step, right, and to commit to an action, and that allowed his opponent to skate off the ropes, right, very easily, because that's not cutting the ring off. The ring is already cut off. He just has to figure out what to do in that situation. And now this is beautiful, you guys, beautiful. Again, the ring is cut off. His opponent is minimizing the amount of space he takes up to try to stay out of punching range, right? He starts moving, and now because Josh Kelly is about to skate over to the right side, man, my mouse never works here, but I'm trying to touch the top rope. If you look at the way that his body is, he's going to keep walking in this direction, and he's going to have the ring completely cut off, and his opponent says, oh, I got to do something. But unfortunately, like I told you earlier, his opponent only has one way of controlling the space between them, and that's to throw a punch. So he throws the first punch, Josh Kelly catches it, catches the second one, and then he walks into a jab. Now, excuse me, 1 second, guys. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, wow, but look at him. He just got off the ropes. Josh Kelly couldn't cut the ring off again, and he got away. But that's not true. He punched his opponent in the face. He landed a scoring blow and blocked 2 other scoring blows. Again, he cut the ring off, right? Your opponent's not just going to stay there and allow you to throw bombs on him, right? Maybe a really bad fighter is, but as we saw with Billy Joe Saunders, David Lemieux was cutting the ring off on Billy Joe Saunders, but Billy Joe Saunders wasn't staying there, right? He was able to get off the ropes. And what you saw was a lot of David Lemieux in that fight being the one to go first, to make the first mistake, and allow Billy Joe Saunders to make the appropriate counter, right? Whether it's a punch or a movement, right? But make the appropriate counter to get off the ropes and take no damage. Where in this case, boom. Where in this case, right here, Josh Kelly is allowing Hamilcaro, Mike, I'm just going to call him Mike. Actually, it's Mikel. I'm going to call him Mike. No offense, bro. I love you, man. Thanks for being here and allowing me to do film study on you. Thank you. But allowing Mikel, I guess I'll call him Mikel, to go first and make the first mistake and eat a punch, right? And that's what you want to be doing. You want your opponent to make the first mistake. And now again, Mikel making the first mistake because he only knows one way to control the space between him and his opponent, and to create space is by throwing punches. He doesn't know how to feint. He doesn't know how to probe, and he doesn't have an active guard, and he's not able to make Josh Kelly make the first mistake. And boom, winds up walking into a big right hand. Now, the right hand doesn't land, right? Normally what would happen is the right hand might come and his opponent might pull away from it, right? But in this case, he slips the jab because he sees it's coming because it's just blatantly obvious. And the right hand winds up landing kind of behind the head, he kind of whacks him with the forearm. But either way, it's a great technique from Josh Kelly. He's doing exactly what he needs to be doing to make his opponent make a mistake so he can throw punches. And then he stays on the line with him and throws a crazy flurry, which I'm not the biggest fan of, to be honest. I think that after he throws this shot, he should take an angle, maybe pivot to his left, right? Or control him with his left hand, right? And then take an angle to the right side because he knows Mikel wants to move to the right, and take an angle on him and throw punches from there. But he throws punches from here, and most of them wind up kind of getting blocked on the gloves or the side of the glove or whatever. But either way, he does a good job right there, especially understanding after he throws that big right hand that his opponent's probably going to look to cover up after. But again, right back to cutting the ring off. Boom. Right back to cutting the ring off. Feints him. Takes that step, and look at how he feints him this way, right? And gets Hamilcaro to change directions on him because he thinks he's going to take that step, right? And he's able to catch him with that jab. But because he goes first after that jab comes, right? He walked him into that jab. Hamilcaro's able to duck away from the right hand and get away from it. And then Josh Kelly right back onto controlling the ring and cutting the ring off on his opponent and making sure that he's the ring general. Again, chasing him around, his opponent really not looking to engage with him, obviously. And then Josh Kelly winds up going first right there and almost gets hit with a counter right hand, right? Boom, and then the right hand comes very close, right? And notice Josh Kelly, while he feints him right here, and he tries to catch him when he's changing directions, which is very smart, right? He shoots that jab, but he comes straight up, right? And also he doesn't control his opponent after, right? He doesn't move off the line. He just comes straight up, and that's a problem. That's something that we're looking for in terms of defense, and that's something that's actually been consistently a problem with him, is moving off the line and controlling his opponent after he throws his offense. Although he's showing that he understands how to cut the ring off really well, he understands the mechanics of all of that, and that he's going to be a very good offensive fighter. Now right here, what is he doing? What is he doing? That's a probe, you guys. See how he sticks that lead hand out there? And what does his opponent do? Gets into his high guard. Sticks that lead hand out there, and his opponent raises his gloves. Right? Now he's probing his opponent again, right? Showing him the lead hand, and his opponent goes into his high guard and says, oh shit, what is he doing? What is he doing? I don't know. And just controlling him. Right? I don't think he understands exactly all of the ways that can facilitate offense for him, but it's very important that he's using that tactic against his opponent, especially when he has the ring cut off on him, because it's another tool for him to get his opponent to go first. Again, going back to the feinting, and kind of goes first right there and understands that the counters are coming, right? Beautiful. Shoots that shot. Pulls away from the counter because he knows when he doesn't set his punches up, he's going to get countered. And he does do a good job right here of cutting the ring off on his opponent, right? Because his opponent's about to make it there, and he beats him to the line. And that's why he gets away with throwing this jab right here. Because he goes from looking to his right, immediately when Mikel moves circles to his left, he beats him to the line, and that's why he gets away with shooting that shot right there. He cuts off the ring a little better than he had been before, and forces Mikel into an inferior position, right? By better predicting where his opponent's going to go, even though he doesn't have to do that, right? He doesn't have to do that because it is risky of letting your opponent get away. But anyway, then his opponent, he leans in, and this is beautiful, right? Oh God, why did it go by so far? He leans in, he slips to the inside, right? That's the inside because it's to the inside of Hamilcaro. It's where he's in he's in foe the most amount of danger, not really, if you're a responsible fighter, and baits the right hand, knows that his opponent's going to throw a combination because that's how he always has been, and is able to come back with a counter, right? They don't land, right? But it's important that he understands that he's baiting these shots from his opponent, and he's not putting himself in danger as long as he can get his opponent out of position first. And now your opponent is out of position anytime they're the one that's going first, they're transferring their weight, or they're the ring is cut off against them, or they make the first move, or if you feint them and they get into a poor defensive position, right? Those are all the different ways that you can get your opponent out of position so that you can land basically free punches against them. Now again, closing the distance, and look at all this probing, right? Probing, and it's unfortunate that he doesn't know exactly what to do with it, right? Because he could shove that into his opponent's gloves just real quick, right? And then throw a right hand to the body as he's moving and skating along the right side, right? Or he's moving to his own left, Mikhail's left, right? And he could slam a right hand into his body just by blocking his vision a little bit with that probe, But immediately, Mikhail looks to control that glove. He knows that having that in his face is going to be bad news for him. And now he feints him, and he gets him to go first and throw a 1-2 and counters him with the left hand to the body. Beautiful work right there. Again, feinting him, right, and getting him to go first. He gets Mikhail to go first when he's cutting the ring off, and then allows him to land his offense for free. And he lands a good left hand to the body right there. So Josh Kelly's showing that he's very competent, but he does need to work on his defense. He needs to understand that you need to control your opponent. That the first step in becoming a great fighter is controlling yourself, right? Having all the tools, having the speed and the power, throwing competent punches. And then the second part is controlling your opponent, knowing how to set your opponent up, knowing how to get your opponent to do what you want so that you can throw safe punches at your opponent. Now he gets to cut the ring off and probably moves in a little bit too quick and isn't able to cut the ring off on him and kind of allows him to skate this way. Again, you don't have to do this. You can just allow your opponent to move onto the line or start feinting them and probing them and make them make mistakes like he has been doing. You don't have to force the issue by putting yourself in a positional disadvantage. But again, great job at cutting the ring off against his opponent. Now he goes back to those head movements, the slipping, right? Slip to the inside, baits that jab. And now, interestingly enough, he doesn't throw a punch off of it that time. He gets his opponent to go first, right? But he doesn't throw a punch off of it. And again, gets him to go first again. He gets his opponent, he slips to the inside, sees the shot coming, and is able to slip it. But he doesn't counter, right? I wonder why. I don't really know why. Whatever. He falls down. Get your ass up, boy. Yeah, no resting for you. You got 19 seconds left. Why does the referee do that? Push him like that? I'm the man here. Idiot. Oh, man. What happens here? What is this? So his opponent doesn't even feint him. I think Josh Kelly probably thought it was going to be a jab, right? But it looks like Josh Kelly feints the jab or feints a right hand and then winds up just eating a right hand. Man, I got to watch that again. What is going on here? It looks like he tries to control him with the right hand and then just eats a right hand of his own. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe you guys in the comments can show me or let me know what you think is happening. But after he eats that shot, he just kind of goes buck wild and throws some combinations at his opponent. And, oh man, and then again, staying on the line with his opponent, throws that left hook to the body, and boom, winds up walking into a left hook of his own. And then his opponent controls him with the right hand and moves out. I think we're going to move to the fourth round after this, because I think the next few rounds are very similar to this, and we don't want to exactly see the same thing over and over again, right? But not bad right there. Now this is smart, you guys. His opponent throws a right hand, it misses, and what does he do? He uses some head movement to get away from a possible counter, and then he bodies up with his opponent and tries to smother Josh so that he can get off the ropes. So his opponent's showing some intelligence, right? Even though he doesn't know how to set his punches up or do a lot of the other things, and he's giving up all the ground, and He's getting walked into punches. Shows that he has some understanding of defense. But let's go ahead and move on to the 4th round, I think I said. Yeah, round 4. So round 4 starts, and I think there's some cool stuff in this round. I don't remember exactly, but he comes out, again, hands low, cutting the ring off. Look at how his opponent starts moving away from him right away, and he doesn't just follow him, immediately starts moving laterally, and boom, cuts the ring off. Now where's his opponent going to go? Great defense right there, right? His opponent commits to a shot that he's not setting up. He slips to the inside to get away from a right hand, which my coach taught me is a bad idea, and he did that by punching me in the face, but it's not. As long as you know what you're doing, as long as you know why you want to do that, it's not a bad move, right? Maybe he wants to slip that way so that next time he slips a jab, he can throw a right hand, right? And then the second jab comes, and remember in round 1, how that double jab caught him in the face, caught him real good? This time, he's able to slip it. He knows it's coming, right? He's learning. So Josh Kelly's showing that he's very smart, he's very capable, and he's very good at cutting the ring off. Again, the ring is cut off. All that's left to do is get his opponent to make a mistake. And now I'm not sure why Josh Kelly isn't taking advantage of this jab, right? Why isn't he coming back over the top with that right hand? Maybe he sees that his opponent's getting his glove back too quick. I don't know. I don't think that would stop him from landing a right hand anyway. But again, tries to catch him with the free shot, right? Cutting the ring off, and then he catches him changing directions and tries to use that as an opportunity to throw a punch, but he's a little late and is not able to do it. Great defense right there, or is it? Right? So his opponent shoots the jab, shoots the double jab that he knows is coming. He turns away from the right hand and then turns away from the left hook. Right? That looks all great on paper, right? But what if he feinted that right hand and got him to turn away from the right hand and then threw a left hook instead? And that's why I don't think that, personally, that kind of defense is that valuable. I think anytime that you transfer your weight, right? So as soon as you transfer your weight, boom, he turns away right here. And as soon as he transfers his weight right here to get away from that second jab, he should be pivoting out and moving away, not staying on the line to be feinted or walked into another shot that his opponent sets up off of your defense by getting you to make a poor defensive position or defensive tactic. Sorry, my throat's getting a little dry. I'm not going to rewind it, sorry. Again, beating him to the line and throwing a combination. It's unlucky at that point that it doesn't land, but he's doing the right thing when he did beat him to the line. Beautiful, guys. And this is exactly what you want to do, right? Now, what you really want to be doing is forcing your opponent to make this mistake, right? But just following him around, and eventually he gets him to throw that jab and is able to slip it and come up with a beautiful uppercut, right? Beautiful. And then immediately goes back to cutting the ring off, right? Doesn't just follow him around, but gets him back onto the other side of the ring. And now he's not countering that jab for some reason. I'm not sure. His opponent doesn't want to fight. So rather than throwing a punch right there, like remember when he threw the jab and got uppercutted? This time he says, nah, I'm just going to, smother him, stop him from punching me. I don't know how many times he's been holding him in the rounds 2, 3, and 4, but I think he only did it once in round 1. Good defense, slipping some shots. Boom. Beautiful, right? Gets him to the ropes, right? The ring is cut off, and he gets his opponent to shoot the first right hand and then goes to throw the uppercut, right? Or the left hook to the body, sorry. His opponent uses good defensive responsibility and doesn't stay there, rolls off and tries to defend himself, but stays on the line and allows him to throw that left hook. But this is what I really like, is in round 1, Josh Kelly was throwing 5, 6 punch combinations, but this time he throws those 3, and he understands that he doesn't want to get countered too, so he moves back off the line and gives his opponent some space. And you know what else he gives him, right? Rather than giving him the opportunity to counter him while he's throwing these punches, you know what he gives him? He gives him the opportunity to make another mistake by allowing him to continue the fight, rather than pushing the issue right there and tossing a coin to see who's going to come out victorious in that exchange. He goes back to doing what's gotten him this far in the round, or in this far in the fight, and gotten him this much success. Ooh, great job right there. Probing with that jab, and then he feints him with the right hand, and then probes him with the jab, and gets his opponent to kind of show his counter for that shot right there. That maybe he's trying to catch him with an uppercut with the same punch that he already caught him with, right? Just a few seconds ago, he countered the jab with the right uppercut, and now his opponent's trying to give him payback right there. Love that mentality from his opponent, by the way. Beautiful right here again. So probing, boom. And then a probing jab right here. Not a hard jab, right? Not meant to hit him, right? And he's able to bait a counter from his opponent, right? Now, if he would have countered, or if he would have committed to that jab, his opponent would have been able to catch it, right? Or slip it and catch him with his own counter jab. Again, showing why it's important to set your punches up, to bait the counters, and then it gives you the opportunity to counter the counter punches. Was that? Oh yeah, beats him to the line. And his opponent doesn't really have anywhere to go because his back is completely against the ropes. Good feinting him, probing him with the jab, controlling him with his lead hand after. But then his opponent does a good job and rolls off of it. And then walks right into that jab as he beats him to the line again. What you gonna do, Josh? Ooh. Now, I like this, right? So he's here, right? And he slips to the inside. I can't tell if his opponent throws a punch, but this is the same motion that he was using to slip to the inside before, and he throws a punch off of it this time. Slips to the inside a little bit, and then his opponent does throw a jab, actually, and he tries to counter it with the right hand, right? But I really like that idea of slipping to the inside, because when you transfer your weight, when you slip to the inside, you're doing the exact same thing as transferring your weight to throw a right hand. You're just not throwing the right hand. It's something that Vasily Lomachenko does very well, and it is a way to disguise your power punches by making the same motions and desensitizing your opponent to those motions, and then later on making them pay for that desensitization. Again, ring is cut off, and his opponent does a great job right here. Feinting him, right? Bringing his guard up, rolling, and then just moves off the line, right? Off of the roll when he transfers his weight, boom, boom, transfers his weight to his left leg. Now he rolls all his weight to his right leg and moves off the line. And his opponent showing that he knows that shooting that jab and trying to punch Josh Kelly in the face with that jab is a bad idea. So his opponent's showing that he's learning too. And that's exactly what you want your opponent, exactly what you want your young fighter to be seeing and to be fighting is smart fighters. You know, Mikhail Hamilcaro, not the greatest fighter, right? But he's showing that he's competent, that he's not some silly bum, that he's a guy that studies boxing, right? And is smart. He's a smart guy. Maybe he's an engineer, you know, in his off time. You know, who knows? Ooh. So he comes in, and Hamilcaro's now trying to feint him, and he winds up kind of getting feinted. And I think Josh Kelly might have been expecting a punch too from those feints. Oh, he's setting something up. So he feints to the outside, right? And then comes right in to disguise his right hand, right? That's something that I think that's exactly how, what's his name? Carl Froch knocked out George Groves in their fight by disguising his right hand, by turning his body away and then kind of sneaking it in. And lands it kind of cleanly, like, you know, on the back of the neck or whatever, you know. It's not a big deal, right? Not the greatest setup, right? But understanding that if your opponent's trying to set up a punch too, then he might be able to try to catch him with the shot while he's countering him. All right, let's see. Let's get back to the film study. Feints him, slips to the inside, and this is beautiful, you guys. This is exactly what he's doing, right? So he slips to the inside, right? Boom. Just like he's been doing, right? And his opponent hasn't really been reacting, or he has been reacting with the jab. And now he comes in after slipping to the inside and throws a left hook to the body, right? And his opponent has no counter because he's not ready for it, because that punch has been 4 rounds in the making, you know? Anyway, his opponent comes in and, you know, he kind of controls him a little bit. You know, I think they're just trying to tie up or whatever, so nothing too great right there. Going back to cutting the ring off. Feinting. Oh, great job right there. So let's break that down. Let's see what happens. So his opponent is feinting him, and I think, oh yeah, so it looks like Hamilcaro feints him with a jab, right? It looks like Hamilcaro feints him with the jab, and then Josh Kelly slips the jab, right, to the inside, right, to get away from it. Boom, and then comes back with a left uppercut to the body. And I can't tell if the right hand lands or not from Hamilcaro. We'll watch it one more time just to see. Paying attention to the right hand right now. It doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like there's any power on it anyway, but it looks like it misses. And then Josh Kelly is able to throw another hook. And what does he do after he throws that hook, you guys? Oh, he moves off the line. He doesn't stay there and take chances with Hamilcaro, but he moves off the line. And then what does he do? He goes back to allowing Hamilcaro to make a mistake so he can counter them because he's having a lot of success. Good job right there. So comes in, feints to the outside like he's going to throw that right uppercut, slips to the inside, right? And his opponent throws a jab, right, kind of controlling him. And Josh Kelly's not able to make any offense off of it, but he doesn't take any damage either, right? Slipping to the inside again. Beats him to the line, right? So he's already on the line with him right there. And Hamilcaro, you know, again, trying to minimize how much space he's taking up so he can skate off the ropes. Winds up just on the line perfectly with Josh, and he's able to take his free punch. And then Hamilcaro's like, okay, you got me, and then move off the line. Feinting him. Now they're feinting each other. And look at how, like, weird of an exchange this is, right? No one lands any punches, right? But this is kind of like how old school fights used to be, when there were a lot of feinting and there was a lot of probing, and fighters weren't always committing to their hard shots when they were moving, right? And this is exactly what you want when you get feinted. When someone's feinting you, you want to be feinting them too, right? Getting them out of position, right? And you don't always wind up having like these crazy exchanges, there was nothing going on right there, right? But that's what you want in good fighters, is a lot of feinting, a lot of the mind game rather than the physical game, you know, because the physical part can let you down. Anyway, for some reason, Josh Kelly wants to be in the middle of the ropes, or in the middle of the in the corner. And check this out: catches the jab, waits for the right hand, rolls it, and then turns away from the left hook. Right? What happens if it's a left hook to the body? What happens if it's a double right hand? Right? Like, there are so many variables, and that's why you never want to be in this position. You never want to be catching punches and staying on the line with your opponent, right? As soon as this right hand comes and he slips it, he should be taking an angle, right? Or he should be smothering his opponent, or just anything to not let that last punch come, right? Or maybe even just not letting the right hand come, you know? But because he's in the corner, right, obviously he doesn't have a lot of choice because the ring's cut off. But anyway, we're going to watch the last 20 seconds pretty freely. And then I think I'll just keep playing round 5 as I talk about him. His opponent starting to feint, starting to set up his punches. And look at this. This is just to demonstrate getting your opponent out of position, right? And that's what you want to be doing with your feints and your probes. Look at how he feints him right here. And then he feints him with that really wide lead hand, and that gets Josh Kelly to say, hey, maybe that's a real punch, and slip to the inside. Now, if he were to flash that lead hand and then instantly throw a right hand, right, he might catch Josh Kelly walking into the right hand that he set him up for, right? And that's the idea behind getting your opponent out of position and controlling them, right? Because if you think about it, if that was a video game, Mikhail could press X, right? And that X button brings his hand up, and that also brings his hand up, and then also makes Josh Kelly slip to the inside, right? It's like pressing a button, right? and that's how he reacts to it. But anyway, moving on, like I said. Not exactly what you want to see. You know, your starfighter sitting in the corner, getting tagged by that right hand right there. Not hard, right? But you don't want to see him get tagged anyway. Oh, man. Oh, and for those of you that are still with me this far, I did those punch drills. I recorded those videos yesterday with my lovely assistant, and as soon as I figure out how to get them onto my computer, I'll be able to get them up on YouTube for you guys, so you can check them out and kind of learn how to get some more power into your shots. But anyway, we're just going to kind of watch this live. I'm not going to do any rewinding. We're not film studying this. It's just something to watch while we talk about Josh Kelly. So what we've seen from Josh Kelly so far is a decent ability to set his punches up, right? He doesn't counter every mistake, but he does do a good job of cutting the ring off on his opponent, right? Which is another aspect of boxing, you know, taking advantage of the ring, right? Which is very high level. It's not super easy to do. Lots of fighters don't even bother with it, right? Because to be honest, it doesn't matter if you know how to set your punches up. What are you guys doing? Stop wrestling, you little monkeys. But understanding how to set his punches up off of that, oh man, that was really good. I like that. Comes forward, feints him, and then comes up with that uppercut. Doesn't land. Ooh, but Josh Kelly, but showing that he knows how to set up his punches when his opponent is on the ropes, when his opponent is, when the ring is cut off on him, but more from a reactive stance, right? Understanding that when he goes first, that his opponent has a better opportunity to get off the ropes, right? So figuring out a way to proactively make your opponent be proactive is going to be something he needs to figure out, right? More in tune with the feinting and the probing, right? The probing didn't really seem to be affecting Mikel. Mikel wasn't reacting to it, and that's in those instances. Those are the times that you want to turn that probe into a real punch, right? And make them pay for it and show them that it's going to wind up being a real punch. His defense needs a little work, right? Obviously, he has that decent style of defense where, oh, here's a 2, maybe a 3's coming, and he can turn away from those shots, right, pretty well. But I prefer him to move off the line, not stand there and trade with his opponent, right? Boom, boom, and now he gets hit with another right hand because he's trading with his opponent, right? Even though in this case it's going to benefit him more than it's going to benefit his opponent, because he's going to be a bigger puncher, he's going to be faster, he's going to land more punches. It's not something that you want to see, right? And then getting back to one of the most important is your active guard, And in the first round, he kind of had a pretty active guard. And then in the fourth round, he kind of got away from it a little bit and just waited for his opponent to kind of make mistakes. But he left his head on the line, right? And now he may have been doing that because he wants to bait the punches from his opponent. If he's constantly moving his head and slipping, it makes it his opponent is going to be less inclined to throw punches at him because he is using good head movement, right? So maybe that's the reason why he's doing that. But also, there were the times where he would slip to the inside and his opponent would try to control him with that jab, and then he was able to further slip that jab and land his own punches, So, and I think that that's a better strategy than leaving your head on the line and allowing your opponent the opportunity to feint you out of position and land another shot, which I think is much more dangerous. And if you weigh the two on a scale or a bar graph, I think that the positives outweigh the negatives of using your head movement to kind of work your way in, especially because the head movement is an added way to pressure your opponent into making a mistake. Anyway, Josh Kelly, pretty good fighter. We're going to have to see him tested a little more than just fighting Mikel Hamilcaro, or maybe it is Michael, but my video just doesn't have an A in his name for some reason. Mikel sounds cooler anyway. But a good fighter. I look forward to seeing the rest of his career and how he develops, and where he goes from here. Who's going to be his first world title challenger? Or who is he going to challenge for his first world title? And then I'll definitely be doing some film study on his upcoming fights, especially if he has any really good ones. Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks, guys.